People.
Yeah.
What is happening? What is happening? Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic day. You guys are wrapping up your weekend over there. You're in Sunday. We're in Monday over here.
Oh, Monday, huh?
And yeah, just a little update for y'all. I'm hearing my sound again. Okay, there we go. Little update for y'all. Wasn't there on Friday. Kidney stones. Kidney stones. If I can give anyone advice
Kidney
here,
stones.
it would be to drink 4 ounces of lemon juice every single day for the rest of your life, regardless.
Have you actually been doing that? Have you done it so far?
It's in my plans now to start making it a part of my life.
I just wanted to know if it was disgusting or not.
No, but like you can put it in like a tea, or there's different ways to
consume it, right?
To consume it. But I had kidney stones on Friday. At least I believe that's what it was, based off of the evidence of what happened. And let me just tell y'all, like, that pain is... That is a different level of pain. Kidney stones, like...
Sorry. WG said kidney stone sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
Official sponsor.
Official sponsor.
Let me tell y'all something. Do everything you possibly can in your life to avoid kidney stones. Because when I tell you that pain is different, I mean that the pain doesn't stop. Like, let's say you stub your toe and, you hurt your toe or whatever. And it's okay, that's going to stop. We'll put some ice on it. If you get kidney stones, I know it's different for everyone, but for me, the pain didn't stop for like 3 hours. I was in nonstop pain for 3 hours. It would, no matter what position I was in, it wouldn't stop. So that's where I was on Friday. I am okay now. But I am just telling any of the people out there, I promise you, look up ways to avoid kidney stones, because you are going to save yourself in the long run. I wouldn't want anyone to experience that. That was absolutely hell. But we are glad to be with y'all today. What's up, David? Pack It Up says, kidney stones my worst nightmare. Sorry, man. Justice says, dude, I had 3 surgeries to get them removed. Cranberry juice is helpful too. Okay. Do you like that cranberry juice? There you go. What's up, Steel Mob? What's up, Major Tutty? Jason Breaker says, Wolf, that's no fun. Hope you pass it now. No pun intended. Yeah, well, we're all goods. We're all goods now. Drink that water. Zach is going on IR. Yes. I didn't think about that. Like, if a player... Because I actually thought it was appendicitis. You know why I thought that? Is because Carlos Sainz had appendicitis. And, like, it was on the right side of my body, but it was on my back. It wasn't on the front where the pain was. But, anyway.
Dr. Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, I was thinking, what happens if, like, an NFL player has, like, kidney stones? Like, what do they do? Because, like, that pain... There's no way you're playing a football game with that, like, that pain potentially coming back.
Probably not.
But what's up, guys? Welcome in. Welcome in. Lots has happened in free agency. A lot that we still need to discuss. But I'm sure we'll have a different stream for that. And we'll be breaking it down over the next, coming days on the stream. I guess we can just quickly talk about the big news from yesterday, which was Justin Fields going to the Steelers. How do you feel about that? What's your reactions after you've had a little while to kind of take it in?
Yeah, I don't mind the landing spot. I think it's going to be interesting coming into this year. I do believe he will end up being the starter of the second half of the season if Russell Wilson can't get it together. And he's still very young, so if the Steelers are again in the same position where they're above 500, maybe they just barely make the playoffs or just outside the playoffs, they're going to be in the second half of the draft here.
Yeah.
And according to the 2025 rumor reports at the moment, that quarterback class is not the best, but anyone can emerge. I don't think the Steelers are going to be in contention to get a quarterback. So I think Justin Fields is a long-time answer. He's still young. And they got him on the low, which could potentially be a 4th-round pick for the Bears. So, and Russell Wilson's only a 1-year deal. I think this is just a bridging guy. Maybe Justin Fields sits for a year, and then he comes in and he's a starter in 2025 where there's still decent talent around him. Pat Fryermuth, George Pickens, the running backs, and Najee and Warren. So I think there's opportunity there for Justin Fields, no doubt. Just Arthur Smith, it scares me.
I don't believe that Justin Fields' chance to be a starter is over in the NFL. And I kind of agree with you that at some point I envision Fields starting for this team this year. I don't believe... Think about the city of Pittsburgh. The city of Pittsburgh is ruthless. And no disrespect to Russell Wilson, but they want someone who's a hard worker, is going to dive into, the nitty gritty. That's not what we've seen from Russell Wilson so far in his career. Also, Russell Wilson has not been the same player since leaving Seattle. Maybe he revives his career here in Pittsburgh. Maybe that's the case. However, I just don't think that based off of what we've seen the last couple of years, that Russell Wilson, with who he is right now as a quarterback, is going to have complete control over that starting spot with no challenge to it. I just don't believe it. I think that's just words right now. You're telling me if the Steelers start this year 1-3 and Russell Wilson is completing 60% of his passes, he's got 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, you don't think that the Fields Hive is going to start going crazy in Pittsburgh? So I do think there will be a point where Fields starts for this team. Funnily enough, a lot of us wanted him to go to Atlanta with Arthur Smith because of the offense that Arthur Smith was employing. We saw what was happening with Desmond Ridder, and at times that was exciting at what he could do as a rusher. He was limited compared to what Fields could do. So I would not be surprised if Fields is a starter at some point this year. Obviously, it's not as ideal as going to a place like New England where he's going to start, or, not many teams out there at this point. The Raiders, where he could really compete with like a Gardner Minshew, right, and Aiden O'Connell. But I do think at some point he probably will get a chance to start. Last year, it was Pickett. He was up, he was down, injuries in and out. The year, it was also Mason Rudolph. We had Mitch Trubisky. This team is just rotating quarterbacks like crazy. There's no way Fields isn't going to get his chance. So tough to see, but I was in a trade talk with Justin Fields this morning. It's just probably not the right time to sell him.
No, I don't think it's right. I think it's probably one of the best times to buy him. In my opinion, if you still believe in Justin Fields, outside of being like a decent, real NFL quarterback, he's great in fantasy. And I think that's what's exciting if you are knowing the history of Justin Fields, right? And not only that, he did support a fantasy weapon in DJ Moore. Not saying he can do that here with George Pickens or whoever is going to be another wide receiver for the Steelers in the future. But I think for a fantasy standpoint, as Justin Fields alone outside of being a passer, the fact that he can score points on the ground and get you opportunities, I think it's still exciting. And he is somebody that I'm willing to try and trade for and get some opportunity.
Yeah.
Like maybe to sit on my team as my QB3, QB4. If I can get him on the low, I think I'm trying to do that right now.
There's a lot of talk around compensation. WG brings it up. How did they only get this amount in return? I think the Bears probably played their hand poorly on the price that they wanted to begin the offseason. All these teams looking for options. Clearly, we know based off reports that have come out that plenty of teams inquired about Fields. However, they must have been too stubborn in their price point because they absolutely could have gotten a third before all these moves made. But now you're in a position where all these moves are made. Teams that needed quarterbacks have addressed it for the most part. And the teams who need quarterbacks who haven't addressed it probably are looking at the draft as the answer for their situation. Now you've got a team who's very clearly, you and I felt this way the entire offseason, going to take Caleb Williams, and you're kind of putting yourself in a corner waiting this long. You have no leverage. You have no leverage whatsoever. As much as everyone, on Twitter was talking about draft Caleb Williams and Justin Fields is the backup and, whatever, or Fields will start this year and Caleb will redshirt. No, that nonsense never would have worked. It's just, it's a pipe dream, really, at the end of the day. You got the entire locker room who loves Justin Fields, and now you're going to think that they're going to be okay with Caleb Williams. That's just not how you build a locker room. That's not how you build chemistry. That's not how you build a team. So ultimately, they probably played their hand wrong, and then the market wasn't there, and they knew, shit, we're going to grab Caleb Williams. We can't have this situation on our team. What's the trade that we can get done? So, yeah, anyway, I think he'll have a chance to be a starter still. It's just tough at this moment.
Yeah, I agree.
But that is not what we are here to discuss. We are here to review some of your Dynasty teams. So if you guys want your team reviewed on this show, it's very, very simple. All you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. When you use the code LAND, you get a Dynasty team review. You get the rookie report, which we released version 3 a couple weeks ago. You get unlimited access to the trade calculator, complete rankings, all of our Discord channels unlocked, and obviously you also are supporting the show. But everyone's team that we review tonight, they are land members on the Flock Fantasy tier on Flock Fantasy website. Now, when you guys are signing up, very crucial steps. When you sign up, first off, I would probably choose instant access if I were you. Otherwise, you just got to wait for that free trial to end in order to get your team reviewed to be eligible. But go to account, link your Discord there, and then you should see all the Discord channels that our members see. The first team that we're looking at today is Masterous VI.
Was that 4, 5, 6?
What is VI? Is VI 6, right?
6, 5, and then 1, 6. Master 6. Masterous
VI is 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Masterous 6. So, he is the first team that we're looking at tonight. He says, "What's up, guys? Glad I can finally support y'all." And he says, "Anyways, this league has a startup right after the season ended. Is when they did it. 12 teams, start 11, SuperFlex. There's a tight end premium, so a full point premium. 6 points per passing touchdown. Not sure where to put this team. I feel I can contend if I wanted to slinging picks for players, but also think I can just take the picks and load up next year. And as I think the extra 25 first will be mid, he is contender with little assets to work with. Up for any suggestions and insights for how to approach the league and keep up the amazing work." All right, awesome. We appreciate you. Glad that we can help out today. So,
do we have a team name?
Yeah, we don't have a team name, do we?
We don't have any context, unfortunately. If you are in Masterous in the chat, please drop your team name, because there's no context whether of his draft picks or players or team pack it up.
Pack it up. Oh, okay.
Okay,
so
pack
he's
it
in
up.
the
So
chat.
he's in the chat. That's awesome.
So this is your team. Pack it up then. That's awesome.
Pack it up.
Pack it up. But anyway,
Here we go.
so we're on the same page. 12 teams, start 11, large starting rosters, full point premium, 6 point passing touchdown. Okay.
Start
So
11. Ooh.
pack it up. You are ranked number 1
Here we go.
out of all of your leagues. You are a 99 out of 100, and there are 3 other teams that are ranked in the 90s.
How many flexes?
Well,
By the way,
start
back it up.
11. So and the way I'm picturing this, you tell me if you see it differently, is 2 quarterback, because it's a super flex, 2 running back, I would say probably 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, and then 2 for, that's 9, 10.
You said 3 flex, 3 wide receivers. Okay, so that's normal. Two running backs, 2 wide receivers. Or sorry, 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 3 flex, and a tight end.
Is that
Makes
right?
sense.
Like I just put there? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That looks right.
Yeah. Okay.
So walk us through.
All right, at the quarterback position here, ranked 1, by the way, 99. Wow. Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, and then you have a bunch of quarterbacks here. I think this is fine. Great starting lineup at the quarterback position. You can set and forget there. Both of these guys are going to be a starting quarterback. I will say, I would like to get another QB3. None of these guys are a QB3 currently on your team, and that can be anywhere from Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, Derek Carr, something really cheap, right? Because if Lamar goes down, which we've seen in the past, that's a huge problem. Geno Smith, right? Can I get somebody on the low just in case, unless you have a top pick here, which you do. Looks like you have the pick 105, which I'm pretty sure you might be getting a quarterback or a wide receiver or something. We'll talk about it. But that's what I would say right now at the quarterback position. Phenomenal lineup. Just need that third quarterback just in case for me.
I agree.
Running back,
I mean, yeah, there's no clear quarterback 3, so I agree.
Yeah.
But two great studs.
Yeah. Running back, Devon, Zach Moss, Singletary, Ford, Herbert. And then it kind of just falls off from there. You do have some names that maybe we can skim over if you want. Maybe Samaje P. Ryan. That could be interesting. But other than that, I think everyone kind of just falls off.
It's really Achane, Moss, Singletary, Ford.
Yeah, so those are your 4 starting running backs there, or running backs that have opportunity. Now, things can change for someone like a Jerome Ford if Nick Chubb does come back and is healthy off that ACL tear, depending on reports, or he's maybe going to get a significant role with Nick Chubb, but we just don't know what that looks like. Same thing with Devin Singletary. He's clearly the starting running back there at the moment, but don't be surprised if they get a Benson, a Brooks, a Blake. It doesn't matter who they bring in. That person is going to be affecting Devin Singletary, in my personal opinion. So that is something to keep an eye out on if you are trying to.
I would say at this point of the offseason, like it's certainly not like a championship winning running back room. I mean, it could be if Zach Moss is a starter for the Bengals and Achane stays healthy. It certainly could be, but it's enough for me not to panic and make a move right now. The wide receiver room, though, might be the weakest that you have, and it's not that you don't have good players. It's just with your format, we can start 6 wide receivers. You've got 2 that I trust, 3 that I like. We gotta extend that, and I'm sure we will with this draft capital.
1,000% there. And then
we've
Michael
got Mayer and Ruckert in a full point premium. So not exactly a superstar wide receiver and tight end group, but that just tells me if you're the ranked as a number 1 player, I know you have a lot of draft capital, we'll talk about that. There's got to be some really good disparity between your league then. Like your league is probably pretty well balanced, I imagine, which that's a good thing. We're glad that your league is actually competitive. You know, oftentimes we'll look at teams and we'll look at leagues and we'll say, hey, dude, we'll help you, but I hate to break it to you, it's not looking good, you know? So that's not the case with your league, I'd say.
Yeah, I wonder if that is because of all the draft capital he does have in 2024. 105, 111, 203, 201, 112. They're all kind of jumbled up there, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks in the top, 15? Which is pretty significant.
Multiple seconds next year. Multiple firsts next year. So that's great. We've built up some really good draft capital, and obviously we have a ton of picks this year as well. Let's try and let me order these so we can really.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the 101 and 1. Okay, so
they're just in a funky order.
Yeah, one team has 101 and 102. Gosh, and he doesn't have a quarterback. That's interesting.
So first question from Pack It Up. We always like to interact with you guys if you're in the chat. It says, what's the least you'd sell those running backs for right now as their value might be the peak for some okay wide receiver depth? We can definitely talk about that. I don't know that, like, so Achane I'm not selling personally, but I don't know that Moss, Singletary, or Ford are going to give you a huge return for any of them. I would say a second round pick is probably the most you would get for any one of those players. I'd say a mid to late second. I could be wrong though. What do you think?
I would agree there. And when it comes down to player value, I think you either have to get a older guy or, like, I would question if someone, I'm not saying you should do this, but like I'm just thinking of throwing out names that somebody would want for like a Devin Singletary would probably be like a Keenan Allen, who's no longer in his same situation.
Sure.
Right? Or maybe like a Romeo Dobbs. Like I think that's where you're at. At the moment, I don't think there's any value higher than. I don't think you can get a Devontae Adams. I don't think you can get a Mike Evans, a Jaden Reed, a George Pickens, a Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think all those. I think you would have to give up more to try and acquire even the lower 20s guys in the fantasy community right now, if for those running backs.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure that you'll sniff a Keenan Allen at the moment, because the perception from many people is that those running back rooms aren't complete yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, right now, Devin Singletary and Keep Trade Cut is RB38. Quentin Johnston is the first name around him. Cortland Sutton. So, it's just, I mean, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, maybe those names can make sense, but it's tough to sell these guys right now because most people don't believe that the running back room is finished, and it probably isn't. Like, these teams probably are going to look towards the draft to add names. So, I don't think that, like, an actual name is a good idea. I mean, Jahan Dotson, could you get a Dotson for any one of those names, Moss, Singletary, or Ford? I think I like that pivot. You know, that's a name that we like. Jameson Williams. I don't know that all these are realistic, though.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So those are names that you could try, but the most realistic trades you could probably do is for draft capital. And we know that that's going to hold its value regardless of what happens through the draft. We know that the 206 will be valuable in a month. We don't know that Devin Singletary or Zach Moss will be valuable in a month, right? So I would say any of these three names, if you can get the 206 to the 210, that kind of range, you sell them, and you get them. You keep that value because that second round pick isn't going to lose value. We don't know about these names though, right?
Yeah, yeah, completely agree there.
So that is something that we can obviously talk about here. Trade the running backs. So again, we talked about Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, and we talked about Jerome Ford. And like, we want the 206 to the 210 range.
And if you want, you definitely can risk it. I think somebody that you can risk it with will probably be Zach Moss if they don't bring in another running back in Cincinnati. Yeah. That value could potentially rise. Maybe you can get an early 25 second once that's done. Zach Moss is getting all the hype in the offseason or in preseason. He's going to be this lead back. They're going to give him all those Joe Mixon opportunities. Chase Brown is still kind of lingering in the backfield. Send a 25 second for him. That's what I would be doing. I don't think he will ever reach a first.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw him as a top 5 this year, or top 10 this year, and he still wasn't a first.
Yeah.
Right, because that was the expectations of Jonathan Taylor coming back. So I think that is something that you could potentially take advantage of, maybe even in season. For someone like a Zach Moss. And maybe if the Giants don't draft a running back, the same can be said with Devin Singletary. The same can be said with Jerome Ford if Nick Chubb is not the same anymore. So keep that in mind.
I agree. So while wide receiver is a huge weakness of this team, given the format where you can start 6 names, you do have a lot of picks in a wide receiver heavy class. So that's a great spot to be in. And the 105 is honestly a sweet spot because there are 3 ways you could go here, and it will all depend on how the draft falls, and I would be super happy because this is people always roast us when we don't get the math exactly right. So full point premium, I will take the time out and I'll try to get the math 100% correct so people aren't angry in the comments later that we didn't get the math to a T. So if Sam Laporta had 239 points last year, right? 239.3. And he caught 86 balls. That means 86. We actually multiply that by 2, so that's 172. So basically, we just add 86 to this number. 325.3. I believe 325 points would be Sam Laporta's total last year. Now, some people will correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. That's fine. But a full point premium, we're doubling the receptions. That is where the point per reception comes from.
Yeah.
So 325 points would be good for wide receiver 4.
Mm-hmm.
You would score more than 25 points than Puka Nacua. more than A.J. Brown, more than DJ Moore last year. You are 5 points away from Amon-Ra's total point outage last year. At the running back spot, you'd be the RB2. In fact, you would have scored 35 points more than Breece Hall in PPR formats. At the quarterback spot, the only quarterbacks more valuable than you, than Sam Laporta, would be Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen. Those are the only guys that would have scored more points than Sam Laporta. So keep that in mind. You only need to add 86 points. Yeah, that's what we did. We did right there. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the math that I came up with. So reason I say that is because Bowers is absolutely in play at the 105. I believe in this format, Bowers might be gone. He might be gone.
I was looking at it. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
And let me tell you why.
Okay.
The 101, Team 4, Riverboat Dave, has the 101 and 102.
Okay.
He only has Trevor Lawrence.
Sure.
But his wide receiver room is really, really struggling there.
And he already has Laporta.
And he already, exactly. Team 5, Dare Mo. He has CJ Stroud and then not another quarterback. He has the 103 and the 104. Now he has Dalton Schultz. He could potentially take in Brock Bowers there, but that wide receiver room, once again, not the best.
Okay.
Can he go, so team 4, Riverboat Dave, goes Caleb Williams and then Marvin Harrison Jr. with the 101, 102. Dare Mo has a 103 and 104. He goes Jaden Daniels or Drake May.
Okay.
And then he goes Malik Neighbors at the 104. I actually think Brock Bowers is tremendously in play here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, the way I was thinking this is you need wide receiver help. You need tight end help. And, of course, if a quarterback is there, we're not going to say no because that is maybe the most valuable player. So I would say in order, even in this format, if it was me, May Daniels would still be first, even in a full point premium, but it's close. Then I probably would put Bowers next, and then I think Neighbors in this format. How would you list it in order of your preference of what would to happen at that pick?
I think the only way I would say this matters is where Bowers goes.
Sure, of course.
Because if Bowers goes to the Chargers, and I have my 2 quarterbacks and a full point premium, I might be going Bowers over those quarterbacks, But if Bowers goes to, I don't know, Denver, he doesn't have a quarterback, I might be questioning it potentially.
Sure.
So obviously, that's how I'm
circumstantial. We don't know where people are going to go. Assume it's just what we're currently seeing. So assume, Bowers is kind of like range 10 to 15 right now from what I've seen. May and Daniels both locked into the top 6. Neighbors locked into the top, 8 or so. What would you order it right now based off what we expect? And that could change.
Look, what we expect, I'll definitely go the quarterbacks over Bauer based off of what I'm believing to happen.
Okay. Based
off landing spot, but I think this is a good opportunity. When that does happen, use your fantasy hotline.
Yes.
And then, we can kind of gauge it from there because I think a lot of things will change after the draft. But yes, I would be going in that order as well if one of those quarterbacks do fall to me, especially if you need that QB3 because you can, at the end of the day, sell them and then tear down at the quarterback position if you really wanted to and then gain somewhere else. So yeah. I would agree.
Plenty of teams in your league need help at quarterback. This team here has no first-round pick. They've got Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, Gardner Minshew, and Sam Howell. They don't really have a top 12 locked and loaded player. So, yeah, even if you do, this guy's got Tua, Fields, Carr. How confident does he feel in his quarterback room? He doesn't have a pick until 2026. This guy probably drafted Fields thinking Fields would be an unquestioned starter this year. Well, that's not the case. He's probably going to start at some point, but it looks like that team went all in. So still, quarterback is in play. I think either way, you are getting a player of need that's going to drastically help your team, no matter what that pick is. Yeah. And I think with the rest of the picks, we're looking at, I think, maybe one running back and then all wide receivers. That's how I would personally play it. in a SuperFlex format at the 111, I'm thinking Lad McConkey. I'm thinking a Troy Franklin. Those are the kind of names that are in play there. I doubt Brian Thomas is there anymore. Would you agree? I mean, it's just I don't know if we should really mention him. Mitchell, Worthy, those are the names we're thinking about at both of these picks. Both of these picks, exactly those kind of names. You could say the same thing at the 201, but I would start to add the names Benson and Brooks in here. Same thing at the 205 as well. But at the end of at the 203 and the 205. But at the end of the day, you would like to leave these picks here, 111, 112, 201, 203, or 205, with most likely 4 wide receivers and 1 running back that you really like. Is that Benson? Is it Brooks? Is someone come out of the woodwork that we aren't talking about? Ideally, you add 4 wide receivers. So let's say it just goes in order of how we have it listed. So you go McConkey, then you end up getting Franklin, then you end up getting, let's say, Benson here. Let's say you get a Worthy, right? Just for shits and gigs. And then, throw Roman Wilson into there, right? So now you've got a roster that's a little bit more shaped out, right?
Yeah.
No longer do we only have Jordan Addison, Jaden Reed, Hollywood Brown. Now we also have McConkey, Franklin, Worthy, Roman Wilson. And we've added to our running back room as well. That's going to give us flexibility if some of these guys are starters to move them and capitalize on the value in season. And then obviously if you get Brock Bowers, that's going to take care of your tight end spot. I do think Michael Mayer is due for a breakout. I still feel that way. He's been one of my favorite buys this offseason. I still think he's due for a breakout. Same way I felt about Trey McBride the year before, obviously to a lesser extent because we know that Kyler was his quarterback. But yeah, I think you've got some clear answers to some clear issues on the team.
Yeah, I completely agree here, and I'm not necessarily sure if he should be selling or trying to package these picks based off of this depth that you necessarily need. Now you can package, your 111, your 112, and try to move up to get maybe a Brian Thomas Jr., but I'm not necessarily sure if that is the right route there going into this draft. I would say there is one person that I was pretty big on moving from. That's Jordan Addison. I'm not necessarily sure what that value is at the moment for Jordan Addison. I'm looking at Key Trade Cut, wide receiver 23.
That's no longer a sell.
Yeah, it's no longer a sell. But at the same time, Tank Dell's wide receiver 22. T. Higgins, wide receiver 24. I'm interested in at least both of those guys over Jordan Addison for me personally. Sure. And now I doubt you can get that done. But if you're the Tank Dell owner likes Jordan Addison more, I'd rather have Tank Dell. I would rather have T. Higgins, even if he goes to Carolina, hypothetically, even if he goes to the Patriots, that's been rumored, or even if he stays with Joe Burrow, I would still rather have T. Higgins. It's not a knock on Jordan Addison. It's just more of the situations that I believe is potentially going to be in favor of Tank Dell over Jordan, or like in favor of Tank Dell, Jordan Addison, and T. Higgins over Jordan Addison. Once again, you don't have to do that if you don't want to.
Yeah, I was super interested, when you were talking about pivoting off of Addison a couple weeks ago before we knew Kirk was gone. I was super interested in a pivot down. But now I just don't really know what that pivot down means anymore.
The pivot down is like really, really down now.
There's not really like a pivot down. It's like
would you do Calvin Ridley out of curiosity and more?
It depends on what that and more is.
Right. Because I think that is an interesting name at the moment. An older prospect, feels pretty secure,
wow.
But
I just realized that Brian Thomas Jr. and Marquise Brown are ranked almost side by side.
Yeah, so there's some ways and players that you can definitely go out and get.
I'd add Rashee Rice to this list. People are I'm genuinely seeing people worried about Rashee Rice because Hollywood Brown is joining the Chiefs. So if that's the person in your league, let's talk about it. What can we get? Can we get a third in Rashee? I would do it straight up. I have Rashee Rice over Addison. I've had that since January in my rankings.
I just wouldn't try and force anything here.
Yeah, don't, because right now there isn't a natural pivot anymore. Because now people are realizing what Badaki was talking about, which is, who the hell is the quarterback? How are we supposed to trust Jordan Addison at this point? Now that could very quickly change. We've seen them make some very big moves in the trade market for more draft capital. Does that mean they're going to trade up for Drake May? Does that mean they're going to get a JJ McCarthy or a Bo Nix or a Penix? We don't know that answer just yet, but just keep in mind that things are not solid just yet. If Drake May's a Viking tomorrow, Addison is a buy again, so
100%.
It's very dependent on the way that things are going to go. But I think Tank Dell and Rashee Rice, their names feel very safe to me. I don't question their future or the production that I think they're going to get this year, or their quarterback play. Feels very good. We don't have to ask questions about their quarterback play. So I'm open to it, but I think you and I would agree it's a tougher trade down now.
Would you send Jordan Addison plus something to get? Would you send Jordan Addison to 201 to get? I don't know if this is possible. Brandon Ayuk.
So I think in a normal format, I might be interested, but I don't want to consolidate in this format.
Yeah, that's
right. The 6 wide receivers that I can start, I'd rather keep Addison, I think.
Okay, and that's fair. Like I just wanted to know if you still would pivot off. But yes, I would agree. Once again, don't force it. Keep Addison if you need to. Just situational things. If you can potentially get it done, why not? And go from there.
Yeah.
So,
and all these picks here, you don't have to spend on players if you don't want. I mean, you can, like, 1 or 2 of these picks, it is possible for you to send them for proven players who are already producing. Like, for example, I have been really trying to buy Deontay Johnson. And I feel like one of these second round picks could get that job done pretty easily. Like the 201, 203, 205. What does the market currently say on Keep Trade Cut? If I was to say the 205, what does the market say? So the market says that's an even deal. I am totally fine in this format. Go and give me Deontay Johnson. I'll still get plenty of young players to come in and fill out my roster, but I'm getting a guy that I think has a chance to get 140 targets and be the number one in an offense again, which is what we saw from him previously when he had those top 12 finishes. Other names that come to mind, like Rashee Rice. I know some people are worried about Rashee Rice. If I can get Rashee Rice for this late first, 100%. We're not saying everything is doable, guys. We're trying to get you in the door. We're trying to have you start some conversations, right? I would also add, like, would you rather have the 112 or like a Jaden Reed? I probably prefer Jaden. Oh, you already have Jaden Reed.
Yeah, he has Jaden Reed. But, like, I mean, yes, I would prefer the player over. Like, would you take a shot on George Pickens out of curiosity?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I love that, like 112 range.
Yeah, George Pickens there.
Wouldn't be surprised if they draft a wide receiver, by the way.
No, but, which I think I'm fully anticipating. Like one of these guys that we've been talking about, Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy, I think they're going to be a Steeler, personally. Any one of these guys. Because they're in the 20s.
Adonai Mitchell would be what would concern me, because I'm not going to say they're very similar players, but I think they play a similar role.
Yeah. 100%.
But anyway, those are some names that you could target that could kind of fill out your roster based off their current value. I mean, also, why is Calvin Ridley? What is Calvin Ridley's value right now in the community?
He's wide receiver 35, and that's ahead of Deontay Johnson. So I'm assuming an early second, like 201,
all right,
202.
Then you could also try that and go out and get Calvin Ridley.
I'm assuming that's what it is, right?
You don't have to do all of these. Let's say you only got Deontay Johnson. That's fine. Go use the rest of the picks for the players, right? How likely is it that someone accepts Rashee Rice for the 111? A week ago, it was completely unrealistic. Now we are seeing people panic because of Hollywood Brown. Start the conversation. Maybe they need Rashee Rice and a couple thirds, but most likely you don't get all these deals done. It's just to start a conversation. But
exactly,
some sort of chaos, some sort of connection between a Brock Bowers and a McConkey and a Franklin and a Benson and a Deontay Johnson, right? Like you're starting to really build out your roster with these picks, and you're getting the most out of it. So that's kind of the direction I would take this team. You're definitely competing.
No question.
This team is
definitely competing. I think once those wide receivers come in, it just feels significantly more substantial. I guess it feels more filled. And don't be afraid to drop these guys. I'm dropping Kenny McIntosh, Chase Edmonds, Keontae Ingram personally, Deontay Foreman. Yeah, I'm dropping all those guys just to make room for some of those players coming through. Even the quarterbacks, Sean, Benson, White, Tune. No, thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, Pack It Up says, I guess the main question is, do I go for the championship? Because I think if I go Bowers and trade picks for win now assets and compete, or build out the depth with the picks, my answer is both. That is my ideal world, like we just talked about. Hopefully we can get Bowers. I think that would be a great addition to this team. But my honest answer is, let's do both. Let's get a McConkey, let's get a Worthy, but let's also try and add a Pickens or a Deontay Johnson, because all of a sudden we have young talent, but we have players that we know are producing. And let's just start here. Like, there's no scenario in which you look at this team and you think, I'm not competing right now. You're competing. You're totally competing. So I would say a healthy mixture of both would be my goal personally.
I would agree here. I think it just also depends on the win now players that you are trying to acquire. I think you have to be really mindful of who you were to be acquiring when it comes down to win now players and how much you're trying to spend on them personally. So just keep that in mind.
I would also add like Evan Ingram as a trade target. Let's say you don't get Brock Bowers. Okay, how about that 205? Can we get Evan Ingram? That's a full point premium, so you're gonna have to pay a little bit more than normal. I don't know if that's a 203. I don't know. But right now, Evan Ingram is set. I mean, he had how many receptions last year? I'm pretty sure he led the NFL in receptions amongst tight ends.
Yeah,
they just lost Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, he led in targets, 143 targets this past year. Led in receptions with 114. So yeah, and I think he's just going to continue to play an even bigger role there coming into this year. So I would completely agree. And
again, we keep trying to build this mix of young talent and players who we think are going to produce. What is that 201 like? Okay, so you do get Bowers at the 105, but now the 201, you're like, dang, I really need a QB3. Well, can we get Baker? Can we get a Cousins? Can we get a Bryce Young? Or can we at least start the conversation around these kind of names? Deshaun Watson. So I'm doing a mix of both, but I'm definitely competing. I'm not competing to the point where I sell every single one of these picks for proven vets. I'm trying to do a mixture of both, right?
Yeah, agreed.
That's my ideal route moving forward.
Completely agree. Use your fantasy hotline, brother. Once I don't know if it's a slow draft or whatever the case may be, but like, hey, all these guys went. Who should I take? Blah, blah, blah. But now you also have this. Make sure you take a screenshot of this, and we can kind of talk through it.
Just bookmark the stream so you never lose it. But also let us know if you have any questions as we end. We're going to move on to the next person, but we want to make sure we answer any last minute questions. Hey, you guys who are watching, do us a favor. Go ahead and smash that like button. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining us on the stream on a Sunday night. Currently up to 25 likes. We've got a like goal of 50. So we're about halfway there. Do us a favor. Smash that like button. Help us get to that 50 like goal. Together we can do it. Now we're going to review another person's team tonight. If you guys want your teams reviewed, it's very simple. All you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. Again, for us to review your team, got to be a Mother Flocker member. Have to use the code LAND. All right. No way around it at this point. But outside of that, you also get the rookie report, the trade calculator, rankings, all the articles, all the databases on the site. So that is how you can get your team reviewed by yours truly. So we appreciate y'all big time. We are going to move on to the next team.
Appreciate you. SteelMob
is the next team here. SteelMob.
Yeah, SteelMob. SteelMob 21. We appreciate you, man. He says 10 teams, start 11, SuperFlex, full PPR. Team name 2024 rebound. Okay. Start 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 3 flex, 1 tight end plus non-tight end premium, 10 bench spots, and 4 taxis. I had a good year, came in second place, and looking for the ship next season. I have the 104, 102, or 203, 204, etc., etc. Looking to see what would be a good move to make with this team going forward as I try to make a championship push. So trying to make a championship push, has a couple of opportunities to build. He has 3, can start up to 6 wide receivers. So this is a pretty deep start here.
Yeah, the same format actually as we just had.
Yeah, and it's 10 man, so I think it's going to be a little bit more.
No tight end premium though.
No tight end premium. It's going to be tougher for this team.
10 man, right? So 10, you're right. 10 man, not 12. But start 11 and no tight end premium, but close. But obviously that will change things.
Yeah. Let us know if you're in the chat there still, Mom. But if not, we're going to continue to break down your team if you have any other questions here. Quarterbacks, Tua Tags, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Sam Howell, and Sam Darnold. I mean, the quarterback room is stacked. I actually really like this quarterback room personally. Tua, Kirk, Mayfield, and Darnold, who could potentially have a interesting opportunity if something happens.
I don't know if I would say it's stacked. I do think it's really like deep, full of potential.
I think that's what I mean. Like it is deep, full of potential. Baker Mayfield signs that contract extension. Kirk Cousins, Hunter Millie, Tua Tags. You know, like you have 3 quarterbacks that you feel really comfortable with going into this season. Which I guess that's what I mean by stacked. Daniel Jones could be a starter. You know,
Sam Howell's a really fun wild card at this point. Sam Darnold, like you mentioned. You know, I won a Dynasty League last year with Baker Mayfield as one of my quarterbacks. So there's certainly like a good quarterback room here, but you don't have anyone that's locked and loaded top 12. I think we would agree.
100%.
And in a 10-man, we have to keep in mind it's a 10-man. That is a little bit of a weakness on overall strength. The teams that you're competing with got Hurts and Richardson. Herbert and Murray, you know, Mahomes and Stroud. So Lamar and Jordan Love. So in a 10-man, it is I'm not going to say a weakness because you have a lot of players we like, but it's certainly not like a top-heavy team at quarterback.
Yeah. I definitely would agree there.
But you're definitely heavy at running back.
Yeah, not bad. Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, I think 2 top 10 running backs right there with Aaron Jones, Kendre Miller, Antonio Gibson, and Keaton Mitchell there. I think Keaton Mitchell kind of dies now with Derrick Henry personally. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
You let me know how you feel about that.
No, we weren't really betting on him anyway. Undrafted free agent, tears their ACL late into the year. It's a tough very, very rare that you overcome that. But you do have 3 names that are absolutely going to produce this year. You have one that 100%. Is a real fun wild card, you know?
Yeah.
At wide receiver, you're stacked. Jefferson, Wilson, Hill, Higgins, JSN, Shakir. Now, you don't have much depth, but you do have a really good, you know, we can start 6. Jefferson, Wilson, Hill, Higgins, JSN. For JSN to be your wide receiver 5, that's a great wide receiver room, but there's just no depth whatsoever after that. Now, tight ends, you got Musgrave, Kraft, Okonkwo, Waller. So you don't have a superstar. It's a non-tight end premium, though, so that's okay. We do have a lot of draft picks that we can work with, which we were talking about there. Can. But we're going to have to add to this team through the draft, or we can obviously see what we have next. I don't think he has his first next year, but he does have a first.
He does have a first. First from retirement.
Who's now what?
Retirement.
Now what is team 8?
Yeah.
So, I kind of like that if you are competing, taking that risk on. But
I would agree.
We wouldn't advise it. But you also have a lot of seconds as well in future classes. So we got some capital to work with here to improve the team. 104, 203, 204, and a couple 4th-round picks.
Yeah, which is not terrible here. And obviously we go with the scenario stick and pick at the 104. You know, you think Caleb's gone. Marvin. Well, actually, let's break it down, right? I mean, we have it here.
Who has the 101?
101 retirement has Joe Burrow, Geno Smith. I think he goes Caleb Williams there personally.
I actually think, but I don't know. We'll talk about this tomorrow. I don't care. If you have the 101, it's Caleb Williams.
Right.
Regardless, like, would you agree? Because I know, like, for a while there, it was like, you know, whatever you want. What, like, Caleb Williams, Marvin, and I still feel that talent-wise, but I don't know, like, has a quarterback ever stepped into a situation like this? A number 1 overall quarterback. Has that quarterback ever stepped into Swift, Keenan, DJ Moore, that kind of improved offensive line, and you have another draft pick to work with at the 109? What if they take another offensive lineman there? I mean, look, just in SuperFlex, I think Caleb might have separated himself based off of the moves that have happened recently.
I think it definitely can be the case. I would say Marvin is still in contention for me.
Okay.
If he goes to the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
I think that is the only, or hypothetically Marvin falls to the Chargers, which I doubt, or the Chargers move up for him, which I doubt. But if that is the case where he goes to an elite quarterback, I think that's probably where, like, oh, well, like, I mean, you can still go whoever you want, but yeah, I do agree. If, like, yeah, a phenomenal setup for Caleb coming into this year.
It's almost like, what do you not like? Like, not you, but just like in general, what could we not like at this point? By the way, what we think is one of the best quarterback prospects we've ever seen doesn't mean he will live up to it, but that's the way we feel. Surrounded by some elite talent that number 1 overall picks never get to be surrounded by. I mean, Bryce Young last year, what was he surrounded by? Dog shit.
I mean, you can name everyone that you can name the last class.
Trevor Lawrence his first rookie year.
Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett. I mean, all those guys that I can think of at the moment in the first rounds.
At least Kenny Pickett had something, but like for the most part, like those guys at the top of the draft never have talent like this. So anyway, we haven't really talked about it, but I kind of feel like Caleb has separated himself completely.
Right.
But anyway, that's regardless to this conversation. This guy's going Caleb Williams. This guy's going to draft Caleb Williams.
He's going Caleb Williams there. 102 is Team 1. He has Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson. I think he goes wide receiver.
Oh, at least on my screen, my bad. I mean,
yeah,
the Beam team is Team 1 on your screen?
Yeah, it's full teams and picks for me. So
same. I don't know why that's happening.
Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, 102, you'd say what? Probably Marvin.
I would say Marvin.
Yeah.
I would say Marvin. 103, he has Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray. He goes Neighbors there. And then 104, SteelMob has. So you can either get another quarterback, whether that's...
So you're really Daniels May.
Daniels May, yeah.
Which, honestly, that's exactly what you need anyway.
Yeah, exactly, because we don't have this upper echelon one. And I think what could be really good if you do have Daniels May, I know it's a 10-man league, but there might be a team here that
we can sell.
There is a team here. 100% there is a team here that we can sell. Team a la Rota, whatever. Team 9 on my screen.
Well,
same.
SteelMob says I should have my pick out of May or Daniels. Yeah. So looking at the temperature of the league, that means let's keep Tua. Honestly, I'd like to keep Tua and Kirk. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that's exactly. And then sell Baker.
Let's sell. Baker's the only one that we could sell with any sort of serious return. Would you agree?
Agreed.
Like,
completely agree.
I'm not anti-selling these names, but I don't think that they really give you a return that's worth looking at. So we could use this to improve an area of our team, probably wide receiver. Not that you need to improve wide receiver, but just like add a couple more names to your depth. Or we could upgrade at tight end here too. And I know it's not tight end premium, but I'd be very curious to see what Keep Trade Cut, like where Baker would rank amongst other names. What page? Okay, so he's like right around Pacheco, Rashad White, Evans, Diggs, Adams, Jaden Reed, Deebo Samuel, James Cook.
Okay, that's not terrible.
Like if I can turn Baker into a Pickens, a Deebo,
which I think is possible by the way for this team.
Right? So like Debo, Pickens, Reed. What other names do we want to think about there? I mean, you don't really need to add a running back here. That wouldn't be my priority. But I was curious what tight ends were around this range. It doesn't really seem like there is
Is Njoku in that range? Out of curiosity.
Looks like Baker's more valuable than Njoku, which in Superflex would make sense and non-tight end premium. But we might be able to get more than just Njoku. So he's still on the table. Kelsey would be the next one here, then Njoku. But like if you could get like this is the kind of way I would format it. I don't know about you, but I would want like Njoku and a second, and then I would give you Baker Mayfield in a third, for example.
Okay.
But like, I think again, if you get one of those quarterbacks, if it's wide receiver, if it's tight end, you have a scenario here where you can improve your position. Who has Mark Andrews though? Because we could maybe add to Baker to get Mark.
Well, Mark Andrews, let's see. Mark Andrews is team 10. Eyes. Odin's Eye. He has Mark Andrews and Dallas Goedert.
So he doesn't, like, he has Watson and Minshew, but I'm sure he doesn't feel like super confident in that. I wonder if we can get Mark and give him, I don't really know, but like, could we send Baker Mayfield plus, what's that plus? Right, that's what we have to kind of determine, and really only the owner will be able to tell you. Right, but I mean, what I would do is I'd reach out to him and say, hey, like, would you be interested in like a Baker Andrews swap? I'd add something. What do you want that to be? Because I can't really think off the top of my head looking at this team. Would you add like a second is kind of rich, like the 204 feels a little rich.
That's why I didn't want to do it. If you had a third, I would have added the third and tried it.
What about like a Musgrave though? Would you do like Baker plus Luke Musgrave? Maybe that's a starting point.
Yeah, I'm okay.
What ideas do you have that I haven't mentioned? Maybe. I don't want to hog that.
No. I mean, everything that you said has been really good here with selling Baker. I'm actually wondering if it won't be that big of a difference. I was thinking of Kirk. I just wanted to understand what Kirk would come for value. Baker's QB 21, Kirk's QB 19, not that big of a difference.
Sure.
Keep Kirk.
And by the way, if Kirk Cousins gives you Mark Andrews straight up, maybe we do that and keep Baker.
And I think Kirk Cousins could potentially be somebody you can sell in season and then get like a random 25 first. I think if you're telling me right now I get a random 25 first for Kirk Cousins with the quarterback room I have, knowing that I'm going to get one of those quarterbacks, I might do that personally.
Yeah, and all this hinges on you actually getting Daniels or May at the 104.
Yeah, 100%, 1,000%.
So that's a couple doors that you could open. Not all of them will be accepted, but you're opening the door and you're getting your foot in the door.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I would say is tearing down from Justin Jefferson if you really wanted to. You don't have to. It's basically the same scenario with Jordan Addison, who's the quarterback. What's that going to look like? What value can you potentially get? Can you get a 2-for-1? You know, can I get Drake London and Brandon Ayuk or something like that? Can I get DJ Moore and Nico Collins? Because you have 6 wide receivers that you can potentially start.
You want to what?
Well, I was just throwing out. I said like a Drake London and Brandon Ayuk. I just said random names.
Okay, right.
I want a 2-for-1 deal. Still staying within that top 20 of my wide receiver rankings, knowing that I get this depth. I can throw out names like, once again, any 2-for-1, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Nico Collins, Rashee Rice. You know, all those guys I'm willing to listen to and try and tear down and do a 2-for-1. Can I get a Rashee Rice and a 25 first, potentially, an early 25 first?
See, I think you and I might be on different sides for that. I love Rashee Rice, but I'm still like, I'm not. To me, like, I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful. To me, this feels like a panic sell on Jefferson.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you should sell. I'm not saying like you should. I'm just thinking of I'm happy to keep Justin Jefferson. But if you're telling me I had to start 6 wide receivers, which your wide receiver room is pretty decent, like I don't think his wide receivers, his draft capital necessarily helps him this year.
Sure.
Like you had the 203 and the 204. Yeah, you could potentially get an Xavier Leggett. You could potentially get an Xavier Worthy who could potentially fall into the early second rounds. Maybe that's one of those running backs in Trey Benson. That could be a Ricky Pearsall, Roman Wilson. But you're still not extremely comfortable because in reality, for me, Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think is a huge question mark coming into this year. I still hope and believe that there's going to be a pathway for there. But you have Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins. You have 2 big gaps here. And yeah, I can talk up Shakira. I can talk up Jackson Smith and Jigba. But 2 major gaps in your wide receiver room where you can start 6.
At the 203 wide receivers, and 204 is where I would go wide receiver to improve that room and help 100%. That depth out. But if personally for me, I'm not a huge fan of these tier downs just because I think we're selling Jefferson too low. On Keep Trade Cut, he's still the #1 wide receiver in a lot of people's rankings. And I've seen a lot of people make some good points to say, hey, even when Kirk Cousins was out, look at the numbers that Jefferson put up with a Dobbs, with the Jaron Hall, with, really bad quarterback that was there. He still put up some impressive numbers. So I'm not opposed to tearing down, but I need to tear down to certain names. Like I'm only tearing down to a CD, to a Chase, to an Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm trying to think of like more names here. Like I can get a Marvin. Wow, is Drake London wide receiver 9 on Keep Trade Cut? Wow.
Bro, I said the same thing last week when I was doing the roster review, and I was like, it could be time. It could be time to flip it here.
Yeah, we were trying to buy London before that news, but now that's crazy. But look, if I'm tearing down from Jefferson, I'm staying in this tier. Chase, CD, Amon-Ra, Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not getting outside of that tier.
The reason why I feel different about that is because it's not that I don't believe in those guys. I think when you get in that top 4 tier, I don't think you can get and more for something.
Well,
if someone's
according to Keep Trade Cut, which is the most widely used thing for Dynasty,
for sure.
He's still #1. He's in tier 1 on his own.
Yeah, and I think
so. I think what is that? What is that a second round pick? I'd be willing to do that. CD in a second.
Like all that's fine. All that's fine, and I'm happy to do that, and I would 100% do all that. I think in my mind, the way I'm kind of processing it is like I still believe people in the community view Justin Jefferson like that, which we've seen, but I think they view Chase like that. They view CeeDee Lamb like that, and I don't
disagree.
It's going to be an even. I think it would just be even. That's why I would tear down for the 2 for 1 instead of.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. Tier. I'm disagreeing with the fact that I would not. To me, these moves are a panic move off of Jefferson. So I'm saying I don't mind tearing down, but I would not do it for those moves. That's just where we see differently. But that's okay.
And that's okay. And I see both perspectives. Like I'm happy to tear down. If you tell me I get CD in something, I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
For Justin Jefferson, but if not, I can understand why people would do the 2 for 1 in the lower tier. With how many wide receivers you could potentially start here.
So you're definitely competing. Day one. I mean, we are probably going to have a team that has Mayer, Daniels. Let's say it's Daniels, Tua, Cousins, Baker, Daniel Jones, Sam Howell, Sam Darnold. All guys that you can move off of in season or before season, depending on what the quarterback room looks like for extra, added oomph to your wide receiver room. Running back, we haven't talked about because we don't feel like you need to address it, to be honest with you. At wide receiver, we talked about some moves with Jefferson, and we talked about adding a wide receiver at the 203, the 204. Those are names like, your McConkeys, your Worthies, probably, lower names now as well.
I think of the lower names, I would say the Roman Wilsons, Ricky Pearsalls, the running backs, and Brooks Wilson. And Bensons, Burtons, Xavier Leggett. I think all these wide receivers that are like Lamb McConkeys, Brian Thomas, and Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, I think they're locked for the first round, personally now.
Yeah, I kind of agree. But still, you add a Roman Wilson and Ricky Pearsall to your roster. Now all of a sudden, your wide receiver 7 is Ricky Pearsall. So, I see less of a need to move off of Jefferson. The way I'm looking at it, but
Carolina could really F us here if they go 2 wide receivers back to back.
Yeah,
they could really.
But there's no reason why they.
There's a huge reason why they probably should.
Well, not with Deontay now. I feel like with Deontay, I think one of those picks will still be wide receiver, but I don't think both.
Yeah,
because they still have a lot of other needs. Other needs,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think this team is definitely competing year one, 100%. You don't have that wide receiver room and those running backs and not compete year one. You could address tight end, but also with Musgrave and Kraft, I think there's enough there for me to just like be curious of like which one of those guys could break out this year. Because maybe that is my answer already on the roster. They're both very talented. We loved them in last year's class. And then the non-tight end premium, I'm not like desperate to find an answer right now anyway.
I agree. I'm not desperate. There's nothing really crazy that's happening in the tight end world. I don't think there's going to be a huge change either. So I think that is a perfect.
Mike Williams is planning on visiting the Steelers, Jets, and Panthers, by the way. Steelers would make no sense for him and
I think
same field.
I think it would be the Jets.
Jets
if there's a
make
team
a ton of sense,
with, he will sign with the Jets.
But
Panthers don't make sense either.
SteelMob, we want to hear, is there anything that we didn't cover? Anything that you want to know that we didn't, tackle today? Let us know. Because we want to make sure and give you some time to kind of ask any questions that you might have. By the way, while we've got some people watching, I do have a request from you guys if you want to be in a video, okay? So I have a video coming out this week. I already released a similar video last week where I looked at the best buys in Dynasty Football, and I asked you guys, who do you think the best buy in Dynasty Football is? That was 6 days ago we released that video. They were all takes from the community, and I basically just said how I felt about your takes or not. The best trade targets. I'm now flipping that on its head because a lot of people loved that video, and I'm asking you guys now, who is the best sell high in Dynasty Football? So if you want to be a part of that, it's very simple. I will copy the link to this channel. We've already got some people submitting their opinions, but all I need you to do is go to the channel that I just put in the YouTube chat and obviously submit your take there. Keep your message, within like a Twitter level length, but obviously include good reasoning. Just don't comment like Chris Olave. Like why? Tell me why. Tell me why you actually feel like someone's a sell high. You can add trade ideas that you believe are realistic, and there's bonus points if you made a trade involving that player. So again, you guys were so great with that last video. I would love to hear everyone's takes for this time. Who do you think is the best sell high? So if you want to be a part of that, again, go to the link that I put in the chat and submit your sell high takes. But SteelMobs, he's here. He says, do you guys think I should move a running back to improve wide receiver room? I don't think I would, Badaki. I think I want to keep this running back room strong for a couple reasons. You got 3 flex spots, so you could put Aaron Jones in the flex. Kendre Miller is not someone I'm trying to sell anyway. And, with your wide receiver room, I imagine us addressing that via Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Sam Howell, one of these names, as well as those second-round picks.
Yeah, look, I'm not opposed to listening to conversations. Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, both of those guys are top 8 running backs. What can you actually get for someone like a Kyron Williams and or Jonathan Taylor? Once again, still looking for that 2-for-1 deal. What does that look like? I'm not necessarily sure how the community views Kyron and Jonathan Taylor. But at the moment, according to Keep Trade, cut some names around Jonathan Taylor, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman. That's okay. I mean, I'm not like, sending everyone for it.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams, Rasheed Wright, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell. I think I'll be interested if I can get like Tank Dell. I mean, maybe I'm like way overvaluing it or going crazy, but can I get Tank Dell and a James Cook? Is that too much for Kyron? Maybe that is.
Yeah,
But
people are so shaky on him. Actually, from our recent video we released, they're not. People really love Kyron. So.
People like Kyron. That's what I'm saying. So if people like Kyron, can I get the 2-for-1 deal? And I love James Cook, and I love Tank Dell. So if I can do something like that, and still get a top running back who I really like in James Cook and a wide receiver who I think is going to be top 10, top 12 coming into this year, I'm okay to do that. But at the same time, I'm not pressured to try and go and make that happen.
Yeah, I would agree.
Has to be the right deal.
I would agree. Let us know if you have any final questions, Steel Mob. Again, guys, if you're out there and you want your team to be reviewed by us, it's very, very simple. Only a couple steps. All you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. We just put a direct link in the chat.
That's right.
Got to use the code LAND. Got to be a Mother Flocker member. Connect your Discord. You are good to go. I would advise you to click the instant access sign up option. Otherwise, you just got to wait for your free trial to end to be eligible for a team review. But only other thing I'd say is, again, if you do want to be a part of that video, put your sell high idea in the link that I just sent over on our Discord. I'll be recording that video in the next couple days, so take some time today. If you got a sell high that you want me to hear, go ahead and follow those steps there. But I think that's probably it. We don't have a time for another one just because we have to plan out the entire week. But we will be doing these again this week. We have 2 more streams this week for Dynasty Team Review, so don't worry. We will be doing these streams still. We are 10 likes away from our like goal, which was 50. So do us a favor, smash that like button if you have yet to do so to help us to get 50. But anything else that I'm missing? I think that's it.
That's it. We appreciate you guys. We'll probably be live. Well, we will be live tomorrow, and we're gonna essentially recap everything that's happened because a lot has happened. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Excited for it.
Chasing Breaker says, when's the next one? So we go live on Sunday nights, Tuesday nights, and Thursday nights for. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday for Dynasty Team Reviews. So that's probably the next time we will do it. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you soon.
Love.
All love.